Are they elite books or pavilions? Because some people will cheapen out.
The elite book that I had when I was an engineer for Lockheed was pretty good.
Yeah, I like elite books. All right, we'll talk to you later. Is this one of our original guys that we picked? He's one of our original guys, right?
Yes,
That's what I
one of
thought.
the 5 that council nominated.
Okay.
Mr. Davis sent me an email saying he's coming, but I don't recognize. He wanted to see. The time is now 6:35 p.m. I'm calling this meeting to order. Present, we have Councilmember Yarbrough, Councilmember Rodriguez, Mayor Pro Tem Mize, Councilmember Cornelison, and Councilmember Hodges. A quorum is present. Tonight, the invocation will be by Mila Lalich, and I apologize that my autocorrect misspelled her name in my email. She's from the watershed of Godley, and we'll be doing the pledge after that, so if you'd please come up and everybody rise.
Let's bow our heads. Thank you, Lord, for our civil workers. Thank you for their hard work and sacrifice. May you continually bless them. May you generously provide to each of them wise and discerning hearts to skillfully oversee the citizens in our city. Give the mayor, city officials, staff, and city council wisdom so that they may solve problems. Distinguish between right and wrong, provide structure, stability, and prosperity to our community. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, ma'am. It's okay, I got it. Next agenda item is public input. We'll be going in order. First person will be Kayla Lane. I'll let you know when you have 1 minute left in.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, Council. Thank you so much for inviting me to speak tonight, or for allowing me to speak tonight, sorry. I just wanted to share a movement that's happening in the county, and there's a group called Eliminate Property Tax, and many of us have been traveling to other school boards, city councils, and we've been advocating for citizens who, some of them are already elected to the CAD board, but they are facing re-election due to some restructuring of the CAD board that happened legislatively last year in the state. And so several of them are seeking re-election, and then we have several new additions because there's 5 open positions for the CAD board. So the citizens that we are advocating for are Brandon Potts, Dwayne Golding, John Wood, Amy Lingo, and Jim Cockrell. Jim Cockrell is said to have enough votes after a meeting tonight and meetings tomorrow. Dwayne Golding has already secured a seat. Amy Lingo has already secured a seat. So tonight I am asking for you to side with taxpayers who have gone and spent a lot of time at all of these different council meetings and ISD meetings across the county advocating for these citizen representation on the CAD board. And tonight I am asking if you would please support Brandon Potts so that we can have another citizen representative on the CAD board. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Our next speaker is Nova Olson. I'll let you know when you have 1 minute left, Em.
Thank you. Good evening, council. This was so short. So let's talk about Johnson County. According to Data USA, 12.8% of children in Johnson County lived in poverty in 2023. To bring some clarity to what in poverty means for Texas in 2023, that is $30,000 a year for a family of 4. That's approximately net $2,100 a month. Rocket Home Sales states the current median list price for a home is nearly $355,000 in Johnson County. And I looked up a home for $350,000 and the mortgage calculator estimates the mortgage to be $2,537, well above even that family's whole month income. The median price listing for a home in Godley is $474,500. The least expensive home in Godley is a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom for $190,000. The mortgage estimate is $1,215. That leaves that family of 4 with maybe $950 to buy groceries, pay utilities, put gas in their vehicle to get to work. So, one other statistic, in 2023, 12.9% of the population in Johnson County was living with severe housing problems. So, I come to you to talk about the CAD board because there is a huge problem, as we all know. Our economy is tough. Property taxes are killing and destroying people's livelihoods. They're losing their homes, their places to rent. So we have some citizens that have stepped up to be incredible leaders. One of the amazing things that this new leadership was able to do was to reduce some bank fees. Nothing like that had been done before, to the tune of saving about $400,000, which is going to be passed on to taxing entities. So they're doing some really great things. They're really looking at new things. They've improved their website so people have better information. The taxpayer liaison is really working with residents for the first time. And this kind of change is really what we need in our county to help hurting taxpayers, to help hurting families. So I would like you to please consider allocating your votes for Brandon Potts this evening. Thank you for allowing me the time to speak.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Greg Cooper.
Mayor, Council, if possible, I'd like to speak right before item 7 Delta, if possible. I did not put that on my sheet. That's okay, add on.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Mr. Potts, since I actually invited all the candidates to come speak tonight, I would prefer, if it's okay with you, holding off yours until that agenda item. That concludes our public speakers for this evening. Moving on to mayor and council reports, presentations, proclamations. There is nothing on the agenda. Moving on to consent agenda. Consent agenda items are usually considered together in one vote. Tonight we have A, discuss and possible action on approval of the Godley City Council meeting minutes from the regular meeting held on October 15th, 2024, and department reports from the city administrator, the fire department, police department, and public works. Council, if you have questions on any of the consent items. If there's no questions, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve the items on the consent agenda.
Have a motion by Councilmember Yarbrough and a second by Councilmember Hodges to approve the consent agenda. Is there further discussion? Councilmember Yarbrough?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
No.
Motion passes 4-1. As we go into new business, with permission of the council, I would like to move the CAD item to the first item. And since we have people here to speak on that, is there any issues with this?
No, sir.
On that, we will move to item 7D. Discuss and take possible action to approve resolution number R-11-2024-22, affirming the casting of votes in the 2025-2026 election for the Board of Directors for the Central Appraisal District of Johnson County, Texas. First speaker will be Mr. Cooper.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Thank you again for serving. And today I'm going to talk about Central Appraisal District Board of Directors and the CAD nominations. About a year ago, the Central Appraisal District Board of Directors had a lot of new individuals. You guys were very impactful on helping some of those people get put in place. This is an interesting election, as you all know. As a taxing entity, you guys allocate votes that have a major impact across the county. This is one of the few times that you as an elected body have an opportunity to affect people far outside of the Godley city footprint and the Godley taxpayers and voters for you. This affects the entire county. As you guys also know, coming through an issue with the city being closed down, municipal governments, it crawls along at a very slow pace. It's very, very, very slow. You guys are here for a short period of time. You're not working 40 hours a week. You're not working 5 days a week. And the slog of government is slow. In the time that the current Central Appraisal District Board of Directors has been elected, they have made major accomplishments. They've saved over $500,000 off of their budget. They've opened up the meetings to the point that there's over 80 people publicly attending these. They've had to move it multiple times to provide access to it. They've created a new Johnson County website that's very accessible. They've saved over $5,000 a month in bank fees. They have also done a reappraisal plan that, and they just recently approved something very similar to you guys once inequities, unequal appraisals was identified, to where they're now doing a request for proposal to bring independent eyes in to make sure all of the properties are appraised fairly, equitably, and equally, just like your forensic audit. And they've done this in a short period of time. They've done this in less than a year. It's astronomically phenomenal. As you guys know, I go to meetings all over the county. Mr. Brandon Potts here and the other elected officials, there's a large group of them tonight at Mansfield ISD. They've been at most of the meetings out there. They're out here talking and communicating with these taxing entities, asking for your votes. Only one taxing entity in Johnson County nominated 3 other individuals, and that was on the recommendation of a superintendent, and his own school board did not allocate 1 vote to those candidates. So I encourage you to listen to Mr. Brandon Potts tonight. He has a very specific skill set that's applicable to Godley and what's going on here with development and how you guys are growing, that will assist and benefit to the residents that you currently have and the current individuals moving here to Godley to make sure they're getting the fairest, most equal appraisals possible. Mr. Dwayne Golding, the chairman, is more than willing to reach out to any taxing entity to discuss the reappraisal plan. There's a lot of questions about that. If you're concerned about any of that stuff, he's gone to numerous elected bodies, numerous committees across the county. So please consider allocating all of your votes to Brandon Potts. Most of the other candidates have already secured their position, and the other taxing entities, there's still some more to go. Thank you for your time, and I appreciate your consideration.
Thank you, sir. Before I invite Mr. Potts up, council, last week I sent an invitation, emailed all 8 candidates to invite them, to give them the opportunity to talk to the council here before we voted. Mr. Goulding, Ms. Lingo, Mr. Wood, and Mr. Cockrell are at other meetings tonight. I got responses from Mr. Potts and Mr. Diaz said they would be present tonight. So on that note, Mr. Potts, if you would like to come up and speak to the council.
I've got a lot to live up to, so I better perform. I think what I bring to the board and getting to know those people, I will say some unique things about me is that I was nominated by the community. Voluntold, whatever you want to call that, but I was nominated by the community. My background comes from a finance and real estate background. When I used to work for First Financial Bank here in Cleburne, I was the one that did financial analysis of different companies, actually did some of the underwriting of a few developments. Not saying I'm an expert as much anymore, but I did some of that underwriting on developments in Cleburne. I also served as the vice chairman of planning and zoning for the city of Cleburne. So I've done some of that. The other thing recently in the last decade and a half, I've been in real estate. So I'm in the trenches day to day in real estate. I've also seen the effects of people that bought a house at $75,000 getting taxed at $200 and they're having to sell. I have seen that face to face weeping, and that's not right. But I want to be fair and balanced, and I understand I'm from this community in Johnson County. I'm actually 3rd generation. My wife and her family are from Bono. They actually were a Godley address at some point in time. They're 4th generation, but we're bought in. We're bought in for the long haul. I came back. I went to school in Ohio, grew up in Cleburne, but came back and said, I'm not leaving. I am bought in, invested for the entire community. I've also served in the Christmas in Action board member, but I think my background with real estate and doing critiquing appraisals and as a CFO of a company, I've got some perspective some of the others don't. I'm still working in the community, and I've made sure they understand that too, that I am working and I have a family of teenage girls trying to fight off the boys, to being honest, and keeping an eye on them, but I've got that too. So I'm living real life with everybody and have that background that most of the other board members don't. And I'm here to represent myself and ask for the votes, but also see if y'all have any questions. I'll be happy to answer.
Council, do you have any questions for Mr. Potts?
This is your first term?
This would be the first term, yes. So I'm a new candidate, yes.
How long are the terms for?
What now?
How long are the terms for?
I think I'll be allocated, be a 3-year term, I think. I know there's some, I'm still learning. I'm not saying I know it all.
If I may answer that, the CAD attorney told me that I believe there's 3 that's going to get 3-year terms, 2 will get 1-year terms, and they will allow by the order of vote, whoever has the most votes will get to choose which term they want, and they'll go down until it's filled.
Something new that I didn't know. But
What's your goal?
I think my goal is to be a balanced perspective that understands money really well, and the decisions we make. I think I not only can compile numbers, I can interpret them and see what's going on. And I think that's my goal, is to be that perspective from that side, but also I want to serve. I've served in planning and zoning. That's the best I can answer right now, is that I feel like I can add that perspective and understanding all sides, both entities and citizens, to represent both.
Any further questions? Thank you, sir.
Yep.
I don't think I've seen Mr. Diaz tonight. Council will move towards before we go into the motion and discussion, I passed out a sheet tonight that has all the county that has voted and who they've voted for. Mr. Golding, Ms. Lingo, and Mr. Cockrell have crossed the threshold on their votes. So anything cast to those three would just be a wasted vote.
You show Mr. Cockrell needing 33. Has that been updated since this was printed?
The when votes are cast, the original amount was 834, but as they're cast evenly across 8, the actual threshold to get a seat starts dropping because the votes get spread wider and wider. 5 candidates would not be able to get 834.
So they need 834.
That was the original number. It is slowly dropping as votes get cast, is my understanding.
What happens to Mr. Golding's votes, over 101? Do anybody know?
They're just lost votes. They're
Lost votes.
above and beyond what he needed, so they can't be reallocated. They're just cast.
Make a motion to approve item D and allocate City of Godley's votes to Mr. Brandon Potts.
Second that. And thank you for showing up.
Yes, sir. Thanks for coming.
I miss Baby's restaurant for this,
How many votes do we have, Mr. Mayor?
We have 30 votes. Last year we had 12. It went up to 30 this year. I have a motion by Councilmember Yarbrough and a second by Councilmember Cornelison to allocate the City of Godley's votes, 30 votes in the resolution R-11-2024-22 to Mr. Brandon Potts. So further discussion. Councilmember Yarbrough?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
No.
Motion passes 4-1. Now we'll be going back to item 7A. Discuss and take possible action to approve the purchase of Public Works One program for iWorks and authorize the city administrator to execute any associated documentation.
All right, you ready for me?
Yes, sir.
All right, well, I'm pretty excited about this, so I'm hoping this is more of a, between you and I, the Mike Tyson, Jake Paul fight versus a real fight. So, Public Works One, so a little bit of background. We currently have iWorks. Maybe you're all aware of that or not. It was purchased last year. I think the intention was good. I just think that it was kind of one of those deals where we bought a program, had a great idea, and just maybe failed to implement that, and kind of didn't know what we had. Not a bad program, but it didn't coincide with our billing and bringing that over to integrate. It's just not going to work that way. But we have a program, and we've already purchased it. So I've sat through a lot of meetings with these guys, and they brought up this Public Works One. And so what this is going to do for us, and I think it's a wonderful tool, this is going to help me manage our roads. Believe it or not, we have a few roads that need to be repaired. I know, right? I was shocked. I didn't know that getting into this, but so Total Pavement Management System, and my coworker, I'm going to just say next slide. Will that work? Okay, thank you. Next slide, please. So what we get with this is it's kind of like, the best way I can describe it is, you know, Google Maps, you see the little cars running around with cameras, right? So that's what these guys will come in and do as part of this program. This is added on to the iWorks. iWorks is a work order system. among a lot of other things. This is going to be added to that. So they'll drive our streets, and they'll also come in and they'll do an assessment on every one of our roads. They'll put this together for us and give us, I will have the material of each road. Let me just kind of go with the slides as I get really excited to get to the end here. So you're going to get the 3D, the 360-degree imagery, all that good stuff. And not just roads, but they can inventory anything in these images for us. Of course, it costs, right? Everything that we add is going to cost. I'm just looking at roads right now. But in the future, this data is ours. Once we do this, the city owns it. And we can call them, and they can have somebody somewhere count signs for us. Potholes, or what we're after now, but manholes, fire hydrants. They can give us a GPS of all that good stuff. I saw where the city of Dallas is spending an obscene amount of money to inventory trees. I'm not exactly sure why, but if we need to inventory trees that are in the city right away, we can do that with this. We will own this data. But again, let's get back to the streets because that's what I'm after. Let's go to the next slide, please. So right here, it's going to help me as the Public Works Director to put together a maintenance program. I'm going to be able to put these streets in order of what needs to be repaired. Some other slides on that here in just a second, but it's going to document what we have. We're going to see every pothole. Another benefit to that is, well, this is kind of redundant when we go through on this here. It's going to help me manage the streets and budget for that. Let's go to the next slide. The good stuff's coming, I promise. The GIS, so tracking layers on the map. We'll have several different layers. We'll have the center line, the pipe, signs. Some of that stuff's to come that we're not necessarily going to include in this yet. Not really ready to spend that kind of money yet. Probably not going to be more than this, but streets are what we're after. So let's go to the next slide. So the mapping, like we talked about, they're going to go around, do the streets. So we're going to have a map when this is done, and it's going to be available to all the users. We can have as many users as we would like in town and within the city. So what they can do with that is they can go on their iPad, their phone. It automatically adjusts to phones, iPads, which is kind of a problem with some of the programs. Technology is better now, but it's a pain in the butt if it's for your computer and then you're getting it on your phone. This automatically adjusts, which is really cool. Kind of ahead of some other people on that, but they can go on there, click on a certain, we'll say there's a pothole that was reported. The citizens on the side of our truck that we talked about for the pothole crew that are gonna be running around, you guys will see real soon. There'll be something on there where you can go online, you can report a pothole. That will go straight to these pothole crew, and it'll be GPSed. And what I can do is I can go back later and I track where the guys are going to work. And I can pull up that pothole. They'll take a picture before and after it's repaired. I'll have all the notes, when it was taken care of, and a few months after doing this, I'll be able to have a report for you guys every month on that second meeting. I'll have a report on potholes that were reported and were fixed, and kind of some counts on where we're at. That's just one little piece of it. That's the potholes.
Question,
Yes.
are you limited to iPads,
No, it will work on Android, iPad, it'll work on any device.
Surface Pros?
Yeah, I'd have to check on Surface Pro, but I want to say yes. It's listed out in the paperwork there on the different devices. But we're not limited to just one or the other. As far as, usually it's just an iPad, an Apple product, or usually it's just a, what is it, you just said it. There's two main carriers.
Surface Pro.
Surface Pro.
Is a tablet device that's used in the field like this.
Yeah, so we already have iPads, so that's probably what we'll be using. Okay. The city already owns those, but we'll look into the future if maybe we can get something going on that. But we already have the iPads to get out there and get to work. But again, we'll be able to go and click on that, have all the information as to the repair. To get further into that, that's just the potholes. To get further into that, go ahead and go to the next slide. So this is kind of what it'll look like on the dashboard. We can make that however we want. It's an assessment. So the coolest thing to me is if you look to the right, it's going to say chip seal. crack seal overlay. It's going to tell me the material we have. We can go to the next slide. And so this is the standards they use. It's the RSL, and that's the remaining surface life, and it's going to give me a scale, or the city a scale, from 0 to 20 on the life. 0 meaning there's no life left in that road. 20 meaning that we have 20 years, approximately 20 years left on that road. And I know that's give or take on traffic. You know, there's other factors that go in, but we can prioritize the roads that need to be fixed now, the ones that we can do in 5 years and 10 years and 20 years there. So budgeting is great. You can go to the next slide. Let's see. This is kind of telling you how it's rated, rating information contained within each individual segment in the system, how it's calculated there. You can go to the next slide. All right, so this is where the rubber meets the road, no pun intended there, my bad. So budgeting wise, I can put in there, I can pick and I can say, all right, we've got chip seal. I'll put in chip seal. This is what I want to look at. How many feet or miles? You can change that to look at however you want to. I'm going to do how many feet of chip seal I have, and it's going to pull up, I have 100 feet of chip seal, 1,000 feet, whatever that is. This is what we got. And then it's going to tell me, all right, you need to replace half of that, 500 feet of that. And then 250 foot of that would be able to, you can do part of it or repair it. And it's going to give me a cost on what those estimates are. Now, these will still be projects, and these will still have to go out to bid. But this will give us an estimated on what that cost is going to be. And those costs come from, I will get bids on price per foot for chip seal, for overlay, whatever these costs are, I'll get a price per foot. That goes in there, I put that in there, and then it correlates with whatever that material is in the footage, and that gives me an estimated number. We'll have our engineering firm put together some contract documents. I will change those in-house, and we'll do the bidding process and get those turned out. That'll save a little bit of money in that process. We're not paying the engineers for every project. Now, there will be some oversight and some other costs that go into those projects, and you guys will see that before we do them. But as you can see, the tool here, I mean, it's just the amount of study and what they'd have to look at. The $16,000 this cost is a drop in the bucket. What you're going to spend if you start looking at it with a big engineering firm and putting this together. Now, our firm is working with us too, and they are doing some studies that we've already assigned to them to correlate with this. And what that's going to be for is more of the utility aspect, because we can't just go in and replace a road. What's underneath it? You know, is there a water line underneath it that needs to be replaced? Well, let's don't replace the road, and then next week let's replace the water line and replace the road again, right? That'll be part of that project, and we do that, and there's a method to the madness. We got to make sure we're doing that. But there are a ton of roads that don't have any utilities under them that we can probably get started on right now, and this tool is the way to go to show us what our priorities are. We can go to the next slide, please. This is still some more of the budgeting tool part of that. If you'll go back one. Thank you. You're getting in a hurry, Brittany. Hey. So if you look, I know she's going to be mad at me now. But if you look over here on the right, you can still see like overlay, no maintenance, chip seal. It's giving you that kind of the location, the cost. I know it's kind of redundant and goes over it, but all right, we can go to the next slide, please. So, another thing that comes along with it, and this mentions the training. So they provide all the training that we need. We're going to be in there twice a week in the startup of this. That's in the contract with them, twice a week, and that'll probably be with myself and our streets personnel, whoever's leading that. Not sure who that's going to be yet, but whoever's leading that street part of it, myself and maybe the supervisor out there. Like I said, twice a week on the training until we have it implemented, and then and that's weekly, and then it'll go from there. So I had a question about that earlier, and that's just during on implementation. That's not for the life of this. We're not going to be in trainings every week. That's just for implementation on that. So the support is there. They've already been tremendous on that. Now you can keep going, please. There you go, unlimited users, ongoing training, technical support, all the good stuff we've already covered. Is that the last slide? No. It's completely web-based, compatible, there you go, PC, Apple, and Android devices. Does that cover a Surface Pro, or a Surface?
Should.
Okay. There you go. So there's the compatible devices that are with it. We can go ahead and go to the next one. Yeah, so this is what I was talking about. So our assets and everything, we can kind of do this as we go as well. So we can do some of that in-house if we want to count fire hydrants and things. But this is going to be really handy on if we see something that's out of place, that we don't have on like our maps that we already currently have, we can put those on there, assets on there. But we can also do that as a project, maybe next year's budget. Do that as a project for fire hydrants or whatever we decide to do. Next slide, please. Dashboards, that's typical with any technology now. We can set up our dashboards however we want, whatever I want to track, whatever they're tracking out in the field. The crew is going to be keeping track. I mean, as soon as they're done, they're clicking, we're done, and we're moving to the next one, and I already have that on my dashboard. So I'm keeping track of what they're doing during the day. We fixed 10 potholes or 20 or whatever that is, and the locations of them. So as that comes in, the citizens will see this big truck, right? We may keep it red so everybody can see it, and you're going to be able to have that site on there, and you can go to that site and you can say, all right, there's a pothole right here, and that gets sent to them. Those will be done in the order they come in and maybe the severity of them. But, you know, when we've got a crew working 5 days a week all day long, I think we're going to get a lot accomplished in a short period of time as those come in and the other work assignments there. You can keep going. Create the work order there. Go ahead. Configure the work orders. We've kind of already talked about that. Go ahead. And then it all gets linked together. Is that it?
No, sorry, I was trying to see how many. There's 2 more.
Am I taking too long, Brittany?
No.
Okay. All right. You keep go to the next one. That's going to cover signs. Well, let me go back to the signs real quick. So we had a couple of stop signs that had graffiti on them. We went out, cleaned them. They got reported again. It came in as we had not been out there to take care of those. We'd been out there 3 or 4 times, and they just keep getting tagged. I think that it's great for you guys to know what we're doing and that we are taking care of these issues, but they're coming right behind us and doing other stuff. And so we'll have, each time it was done, there'll be a work order created, a picture taken, all that good stuff. And so huge asset on that part. All right, keep going, please. Track equipment, employees. I'm going to track all the cost on that. The return on our money is going to come quick. You can go ahead. Routine maintenance, again, that's something that we get with the data. And we can just go through the rest of these, and then I'll get to part of the contract and what we're going to do. There you go. That's the last slide because it has our contact. So anyways, I'm working with Todd right now. I've worked with Todd and Joel both. Todd's my contact. So kind of get back to where we're at. So what this is going to allow me to do is these guys, they're going to come in. If everything goes to plan, you guys are happy with this, I'll meet with them tomorrow. And the first week of December, they'll be out doing the survey. The first week of January, maybe second week of January, I'll have that data back. And we will be scheduling, we will be putting some jobs out to bid mid-February. And you guys will see some roads being replaced and repaired, replaced, I would say in the March timeframe, first part of March. That's about as fast as we can get it done. But if we don't do it this way, we can do some projects, but it's going to be real scattered and unorganized. This is going to allow me to be organized and allow me to budget and spend the city's money in a good, wise manner, educated manner. Any questions? I know that was a lot of words real fast.
I'll jump in with the
Wonderful. Thank you, Mayor.
the proposal. You have, the price was $16,500 if we met this by October 31st.
Yes.
Otherwise, it doubles.
Yes. Okay, so I have talked to them, and that is also The reason we're getting a discount is because it depends on crews being in the area. They are still in the area. I've talked to them, and we're still gonna get it for that 16. They're
It'll
actually.
be a total of 22.5 though, right? Because first there's 6 for the add-on, and then the rest is gonna be for them to come out and do the survey.
So it's a little bit deceiving. So the 6 we've already paid for the iWorks. That's a subscription fee that we pay to iWorks anyways.
Okay,
So it's 16.
okay. Dean, were you here when we did that? I noticed on the contract says, this will be governed by and construed in accordance with the laws of the state of Utah. Did you fix that the last time?
So yes, the original contract does have that change. Is this a new form they
This is a new
provided?
format.
Yeah, so the original contract will have all the revisions, state law requirements. Should have the anti-boycott provisions, other Texas required provisions in there.
So all that stuff that we did prior, it still applies, this is just something that,
It just needs to be, this document they provided just needs to be updated.
how much storage space are they gonna give us in GovCloud? It's not free generally.
No, it's in there. Let me get that.
Oh, I see, 100 gig?
I guess I got a question, if that's appropriate, for Roger, if that's okay. So in your line of work, do you guys use any kind of program to keep track of work going?
Yeah, we have a couple of software programs.
Okay, and that works out pretty good?
Yeah, we have one works real good on safety, and then we have one that works real good on deficiencies. You see right away, you track them, you have a picture of it, you know what it is, you know who to send it to, you send that back to them, you get signed off on it. And then there's 1,000 other programs, but those are the only 2 I deal with.
I got you. Thank you.
So, looks like they're only gonna, if I'm reading this correctly, I don't know. Have you read this, Lindsay? Have you looked at
She
this?
is not.
So it says uploading files up to 25 meg, that's including pictures, that's tiny for a picture. In fact, I mean, good grief, I can beat that with 4 pictures from my phone. And 100 gig of managed data storage. Additional upload file sizes and managed data storage sizes can be provided based on Appendix A. I don't see that in Appendix A. So if you would, 100 gig is nothing. That's nothing.
Okay.
And if we're gonna be uploading a whole bunch of pictures and the community's gonna be uploading pictures, 4 meg, 5 meg, a piece, 3 or 4, 10 of them at a time, you never know. Just, I'd like to know if there's gonna be some additional storage cost.
Or is there a compression software used on the images that would reduce the storage amount?
That depends on whether that's provided,
Well,
because,
yeah,
yeah, and I don't know why it necessarily would be, but 100 gig of managed data, that's just like nothing.
Provided every customer, this includes uploading files to 25 MB and 100 GB.
So, okay, so sake of time here. We need to see about that, I guess, to see how much we can, or what the cost is on that. Absolutely.
Okay.
Sorry, I don't have that answer.
Was anything discussed, I mean, when you were talking with, was it Tony? Was there anything discussed as to what cities normally utilize for storage space or anything like that? I mean,
No, we didn't talk about storage space from other cities.
Didn't know if that's what, if he was saying it would be adequate or not for our use.
Here's the reason I ask is because, I've been working with a guy recently that's done this kind of stuff for a while. doing Azure, Microsoft Azure and other stuff on an enterprise level. And he warned me about certain things that companies will do is they'll give you they'll start out with a particular storage amount of data, and they'll give you this tiny little amount, but after that, you've got to pay for more.
Okay.
So,
No, great question. Great question. So how about this? Give me an opportunity to find that out, get you some answers, and maybe give this to you again in December. Because that's a great question. I want you guys to be completely comfortable with what I'm doing.
how long are they going to be around though, so that we get the good price?
Well, so they're still in December, and that'll still fall within that time frame. I feel like I'll talk with them and see, but I feel confident that that'll be okay, because they can just start their other job. It'll just push us back to maybe mid-December, so late January before I'm getting the data.
Other than that, I like it, especially if it's going to push up the total replacement of some of the streets that we know need it.
It's going to be a great tool.
Sounds like you would cut a whole year off of what you were initially thinking.
That's my plan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I asked
if
for
it
2
works out,
years, and if I can do it in 10 months, I think that's pretty good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Might keep you for another year.
Hey, it's job security, right?
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
All this information, at some point in time, we're gonna have to ask for a road bond. I'm gonna think of some of the roads gotta be completely redone and reworked. Will this information be the pre-qualifying work, or do we still have to go out and get a stamped engineer's report? Or will this work as that report, or will that save us any money on the looking at the site, seeing what's there, what's got, what work has to be done?
Right. No, I understand your question, and I'm gonna kind of put Lindsay or Dean on the spot on that one, because I don't know that for sure. What would you guys, I know, I'm gonna make you earn your money. Yes, I'm sorry.
I was asking Brittany to send me a copy. Can you repeat your question? I'm sorry.
Okay, well, when you go out for a bond, you've got to, first of all, you're gonna have to have engineers come out and say, this is your problems, I'm thinking, and they're gonna have to stamp that. Will this take care of that? Well, so, I mean, do they have an engineer that's gonna stamp, you need chip seal on 500 feet, you need blah, 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 because of our drawing? Is that gonna work, or do we still have to go out and hire an engineering firm to do the preliminary work for a bond?
I suspect, oh, go ahead, Linda.
Go ahead.
I suspect that it would not work for that on a bond. I don't know that for sure, but I'm about 85 to 90% sure that probably wouldn't work because of,
Well, and that's what we're asking the engineers to do right now, is to look at that, because those are gonna be big projects. Like he explained, instead of tearing the road up, and then we have to replace the infrastructure underneath it, we want to know which ones need the infrastructure replacement,
Yep.
and then tear the road up at one time, replace the infrastructure. Those are the major projects that they're gonna be working on, and that's what they're giving us information for. That's where the CIP committee that you've put together, that's what we'll take to them and start using some of those funds with. This is gonna be more for his day-to-day operations and the things like he had talked about that don't have a lot of the infrastructure in the bottom underneath it that need to be repaired. Not total replacement, not building a whole new street, if I'm right.
yeah, it'd be
But
repaired.
just repairing.
Yes, and a price per
Repairs.
foot. That may be, whole streets, on some of the small streets. I don't know where till we get this in there.
Is this program, or what program is being used as a sewer plant right now? Is this interchangeable with the sewer plant? Because I remember we bought it may not have nothing to do with this, but we bought some kind of system for the sewer plant at one time to keep that online.
We don't,
Is this part of it?
we don't have any kind of program or system, SCADA or anything for sewer.
Was this originally what we paid for?
This-
Been used for that?
So this is a work order system. iWorks is a work order system, and that's what it was created for. So it's my understanding, so the citizens could go online and report things, but it doesn't integrate with our billing system. So all the customer information coming over doesn't jive together with that iWorks system. So it's kind of double the work if you want to use it for that. That's why, since we already had it, let's utilize it. Let's add a program to that we can use. And it gets us into where the citizens can report, because we would have had to do that.
So, okay, that's fine. I just was, we don't have a computerized system for the sewer plants and how they take and working with them.
Not yet. I'm working towards that, but we don't have it yet.
I thought we had talked about that years ago, but okay.
I mean, I wish we did, if you're willing to.
No, thank you.
That's the $100,000 deal, right? Or up?
Or up.
Okay.
Okay. Totally unrelated. Did we ever find all our water valves?
All our, no, not that I'm aware of. We have not, since I've been here, we've not found all the water valves, no.
We lost the grant because we couldn't find them. I just wonder if they've been done yet.
Yeah, I think minus the storage question, I like the program and I like the time it would save and potentially some of the budgeting issues that it would help. So I think once we get an answer on the storage, we could probably make a decision.
So, am I hearing that somebody would like to make a motion to postpone this to the December 3rd meeting, maybe?
Yeah, make a motion to postpone
Would that
this
give
to
you
the
adequate
December 3rd
time
meeting then?
to get your answer 2 weeks?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, and I appreciate that, guys, because I want to make sure that the decisions we make, we're comfortable together.
Second.
Have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Mize and a second by Councilmember Yarbrough to postpone item A until the December 3rd city council meeting. Is there further discussion? Councilmember Yarbrough?
Aye.
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 Motion passes 5-0. Item B, discuss and take possible action to approve the municipal maintenance agreement with the Texas Department of Transportation and adopt resolution number R-11-2024-21, authorizing the mayor to execute the agreement. TxDOT has asked to update their municipal maintenance agreement. The last one we signed was signed August 9th, 1971. In essence, the agreement was in the book. It's been reviewed by legal and Danny, and it's been discussed in a few of the teleconferences. In a summary, if we agree to it, TxDOT will maintain the TxDOT roads, and we will maintain the easements, and there's things we're responsible for. If we don't agree to it, we do what we're responsible to, and they will not do the roads. We'll do the roads also.
Motion to approve item B in its entirety.
I just had a question on it, but go ahead.
We'll get discussion in a second.
I'll second.
Have a motion by Councilmember Yarbrough and a second by Mayor Pro Tem Mize to approve item B in its entirety. Further discussion, sir?
I noticed, prohibited by ordinance, a resolution, all parking on frontage roads, I guess that's frontage roads, but I just wondered about the parking here in front of, like at the restaurants and stuff, are we still gonna be able to park like we park there now?
Which,
I just saw the one where I wrote it for, but it says, side roads, so that's really not one, but there's one about, no, what do you call it, parking, angle parking?
he wants parallel parking, or, I think I
I
remember.
think they said they wanted
mentioned-
parallel parking unless we make but people, it's always been pull-in parking, kinda at an angle. Is that gonna be an issue,
I will,
Dean?
Well, it looks like it falls under the city's responsibility, so don't we control that anyway through our own ordinances?
No, you have to ask them for permission to do that, what I read.
Where are you at? I wanna make sure I'm on the same page.
I marked it, but I don't know where I marked it with. I think if we ask for permission and they give it to us, everything's hunky-dory, but if they don't, then what do we do?
I think it's under 2A. Prohibit angle parking except upon written approval by the state after traffic and engineering studies have been conducted to determine if the state highway is sufficient width to permit angle parking. I will verify that. I have a teleconference with them tomorrow. I will verify that with them. Unless Lindsay has a comment on that one. It's item 2A for city responsibilities. It's,
6.
yes, page 6 and 9.
Yeah, I got it marked. I just couldn't find it.
So yes, the way that I read that, unless the city has permission from TxDOT to allow angled parking because they agree to it there, then they can't have angled parking. But it allows an avenue for it, we just need to talk to TxDOT about it.
I mean, it's been done forever and a day, no issue's been raised to date, at least not since the 1971 agreement.
Talk them into it, Mr. Mayor.
They, also in this, they've talked to Danny and I and have given permission for our Public Works to maintain the removal of road signs and the TxDOT easements. So that is also a plus that they've conceded to us.
That's good. Then they have to come buy the signs we want to use.
And parking in those easements? Like the bus that sat there and big trucks that park there?
You talking the parking lot? The dirt parking lot off to the left side of Main Street? That is actually railroad property. And railroad is looking at,
It can't all be railroad.
railroad easement goes a lot farther than TxDOT easement. They are looking at doing no parking signs in their parking lots. Mr. Armstrong, you've been part of some of those conversations. Have you heard anything different on that?
I'm not hearing anything more on that, no. But the railroad doesn't, or they do have to come up with a right of way. Probably didn't realize. Looking into it, there's quite a bit of right of way for the railroad.
I mean, TxDOT and the railroad is arguing the distance of the easement, which doesn't affect us. The railroad says they own actually to the far side of 171. TxDOT disagrees with them, but that's, either way, it's not our fight. So, once they figure it out and come to their line, but the railroad is looking at, they don't like the liability of using those parking lots on each side of Main Street against the tracks.
Has there been complaints from people about them parking there?
There hasn't been complaints from people, it's just Fort Worth Western Railroad just doesn't like the liability of people parking against their tracks with trains running in
And
their
it's not
parking lots.
attractive when you're entering the city.
No, no problem.
And if that's our goal is to make us look a little more attractive, then that needs to go.
Mayor, can you-
Have a request for a vote. Councilmember Yarborough,
Aye.
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 you said aye.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0. Item C, discuss and take possible action to approve an interlocal agreement with the Silo Mills. Mr. Armstrong, if.
I'm back again, I'm on the hot seat a lot tonight, huh?
On the beginning of this one, if you can please enlighten the council how we got to a action item without the council knowing about it, would be appreciated.
Yes, so, our legal team's looking at it, and it is in their court right now, and that didn't get turned back to us. They're looking over some changes that we'd looked to make. There were some minor changes, and I'm not sure what the holdup is on that. It was supposed to be here for you guys. It went to them the first part of last week with the final changes, minor changes, and it did not make it back.
I think my question is more how did we even get to the point of legal going through a contract before the council even expressed interest as to whether this was something they would even support?
I apologize. I misunderstood your question there. So, yeah, no, I really don't have a great answer for that. It's something for you guys to look at and discuss. I think that was the intent of it, was to look at it, see what you guys like. But I agree that maybe I should have said something to you guys in a previous meeting. All I can do is apologize for that. That's the best answer I've got. I would ask for some patience on that. I am kind of new to this and kind of got it out of order. And so I appreciate that. I think I'm in a good position now because I'm fixing to tell you about it. And we'll talk about it in December. So listen, I feel like, good Lord's watching over me because this gives us an opportunity to talk about it and maybe we can make an educated decision, huh? So hopefully that answers your question.
Yes, sir.
So Silo Mills is a development between Godley and Joshua. Is everybody familiar with where that is? Right there at the S curves. It's a big development. It's 2,000 homes built out. Right now they're in phase 1 of their wastewater treatment plant. It's permitted for 300,000 a day. Total build out, it's a little over 800,000 a day. There's going to be some expansion to their wastewater plant. And the background on that to get to where we're at today is that is a plant that I took care of prior to coming to the city of Godley. I took care of the city of Godley. I had a number of clients through EHT. They were one of them. So when I left and decided to come over here, they were kind of up in the air as to they were going to find another contractor. Asked would the city maybe be interested in that. We've been talking back and forth to kind of get to where we're at, to see if that's even a doable thing on the interlocal agreement. And if all works well and goes well, that's kind of the plan, is to we would assume operations of the plant and their collection system. So their collection system's tied to the treatment plant. No matter how you twist it, turn it, the TCQ says the collection system out in this distribution is considered treatment, is considered part of that. So that's all included. The benefit to the city to that is probably where you guys are all kind of thinking, where's the benefit to that? So we charge an hourly rate for our operator to go out there, plus mileage, or we will hopefully charge that. In doing so, that will essentially pay for our employee to work here, and it's only part of their time. That will cover the cost of that, and so not to get into too many details there, but we charge $100 an hour. We're paying our employee $25 an hour. Then you have a 40% overhead on that because there's benefits for that employee. So it's going to be at minimum, looking at 20 to 25 hours a week going to be spent out there. All right, so that's half the time of a full-time employee, right? But that will pay all of their salary, cover all of their salary, and then some. So essentially, we can pay for another employee to be added to the wastewater, would be my hopes in the future. But if nothing else, it covers the cost of the employee that I have in the wastewater department when we're fully staffed. So that's the benefit of that. And the way this works is we're operation only. Silo Mills would assume all the, say a pump quits or we need an electrician out there. We call that electrician, we spend the time out there with them, but that's billed directly through Silo Mills. The city of Godley, none of the billing is going to go through the city of Godley. They work direct, all the third parties work directly with Silo Mills. We don't assume all that cost of having to keep up with that, do the billing, all the good stuff that comes with that. There are going to be some small charges if we go out and a water hose is busted and we need that water hose. We will get that and then we will turn around and bill that to Silo Mills on our monthly invoice for our time and mileage. There's some small things like that, but those things can't be avoided, and we can't just call and say, hey, will you go pick us up a water hose? We need stuff like that, and I'm just using that as an example. It's a brand new plant. It's been in operation since February of this year. I was there on startup to see that plant get started, and a great running plant. So there's an opportunity there to cover cost in the wastewater, and that's where the benefit to the city comes. And at some point, you're going to get to more than just the minimum hours, right? And there's an overtime charge built into the contract, so if we have to go after hours or on the weekend, anytime you're dealing with a utility, those things are possible. There is an overtime rate for that, and we keep up with those hours and we bill that monthly. So that's kind of where we're at. They needed an operator. They're not interested in hiring one on staff. They just, that district, there's a board. There's actually 2 boards. For the whole thing, there's going to be 2 districts when it's all built out. They do not want to have staff that takes care of that. They want to source that out as a contract labor. And to be honest with you, I think the biggest part of the state on the smaller scale is looking to go contract. I think that's the way of the future on your utilities. I mean, it's just you pay your bill and you don't have a lot of the cost that comes with the employee. I mean, so it's not unusual. It's not unusual for MUD districts, management districts, to source that out. And I think it's pretty cool that the city of Godley can kind of pave the way on interlocal agreements to take care of some of these communities around them and benefit from that.
And make money at the same time.
And make money at the same time. Because that 20 hours a week is going to turn into 30 hours a week with that thing growing. And so we, you know, at a certain point, we look at, all right, we're working enough hours, do we add an employee?
Who is currently maintaining it now?
So I am currently going out there and taking care of that for them still, but with the hopes to bring it over to the city.
How are we getting compensated for your time over there?
So we will bill them for that for the time that I've been going out there, regardless of this contract.
You're worth more than 100 an hour.
Mm-hmm.
So, well, but I'm also going on at the end of the day, and I'm
That's
not taking away
overtime.
my time. So, well, yes, it's kind of one of those deals to get them by to make a decision.
I get you.
So,
Are any other entities going to have to be involved? Because I know while Godly ISD services this is not in our ETJ. I think, even though it's between us and Joshua, I believe it's Cleburne ETJ.
so it's actually Cleburne and Burleson out there. Half of it's in Cleburne, half of it's in Burleson. And that's kind of one of those questions that I might refer to Lindsay. She's been looking at that with me on the ETJ thing. I don't think that affects the interlocal.
No, because this is its own entity that exists within that. So if it wasn't its own like separate development and owned zoned property, then yes, you might have to go through management with those other cities. But because it's its own development and entity, that's why the agreement is with them.
It's not a MUD, right? It's a management what do you call them?
Mm-hmm.
A what?
An MMD.
MMD, right, okay. No parts, none of that. Are we gonna install parts?
Yeah, so we will charge them for time on oil changes, on pump, on compressors and things, because that's stuff that we can go out there. But you got to figure, I mean, we're not just charging them for one guy when we go out there. If you've got 3 people that go out and work on something, they provide the parts, the oil, and all that. We charge them for the time to do that. Or if we don't have the time, then we outsource that. They use a third party, and we move on down the road.
What I'm asking is, it's just a labor contract.
It's just a labor contract, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, everything else, their chemical cost, belts, oil, anything, that all is billed through them.
If there's,
Nothing but labor for us.
Nothing but labor. Now, we will charge them labor on ordering and doing all that. That all gets built in, but nothing but labor, yes.
what liabilities is put on the city?
So that is in the contract on the liability.
The city, all the liability is gonna be with the MMD.
Like, that's fines, anything that would happen would be on them.
Correct.
And that was my question, is if TCEQ gets involved and there's an issue or a fine, does that go now to the city because our employees are maintaining it, or does that go to the?
No, that goes to the district, just like the city. If we had something, it would go to the city. Yeah, and I look at it as an opportunity to cover cost for personnel that we have, and then additional personnel covering that cost in the future.
I'm gonna make a motion to postpone this, but only because I wanna see the agreement. I don't think it's really not that bad a deal, it sounds like, so.
We went ahead and posted it as an agenda item in hopes that they would have their final versions back in time for you guys to see them for tonight. So we're still waiting to get back from them, so I understand that, but that was the hope, but it sounds like it's worked out better this way.
Make a motion to postpone item C until the December 3rd meeting? Is that right? December 3rd meeting.
I'll second.
Have a motion by Councilmember Yarbrough and a second by Mayor Pro Tem Mize to postpone item C until the December 3rd city council meeting. Further discussion.
Just one question on the liability. You said somebody over there, he pushes the wrong button, tears up something, who's responsible?
Well, that's still the cost of that is still the responsibility of the district.
Even though it's provable that our guy caused it.
Yeah, and there's some language in the contract that covers that.
I can't, off the top of my head, I can't remember the exact language, but typically what we would include is unless it's due to the negligence of a city employee, it's gonna be, all the liability and responsibility is gonna be on the MMD, on Silo Mills.
So another question, hypothetically, one of our employees get hurt, who's liable? Our citizens and our insurance, or will they be paying, insuring our people when they're working over
I mean, I would think they're covered under the city's insurance.
I'll have to go back and confirm in the contract.
Angie, I got a question for you on this. Since you have a lot of city experience, City of Godley is going into a contract with a MMD in the city of Burleson and the city of Cleburne's ETJ. How does that place us with our sister cities and alienating or causing issues, or is that a common practice that?
I've never had dealings with that type, but to me, it just doesn't seem much different than you're allowing your fire department to have your ESD. They're paying for your firefighters, and they're answering calls in other cities that don't have fire. Right? I mean, that's what y'all do. You go into other areas in the county. Mutual aid, and they fight fires, and the ESD provides your funding for that. So, to me, it's not that much difference. That's why you had asked the question about how did we get here. We were trying to make sure that all the legal aspects were even legal to do before we even brought it to you. Because it wasn't gonna be worth it to bring you something that we really shouldn't be doing. But I couldn't find a difference for myself, when Danny approached me, because they approached him about it. This gives him an opportunity to bring in licensed, people with, the higher license. And then you've got them on your staff. And as we expand our sewer plant, you've got certified licensed people, not just Danny, that have a higher license that can work our own sewer plant as well.
Being
as
paid
it
for
grows.
by the MMD,
I'm sorry?
essentially being paid for by the MMD.
Absolutely.
Not the taxpayers here.
Right.
Yeah.
So to me, I just couldn't find the difference between what you're already doing with the ESD and what they're asking for.
So what you're charging is gonna cover their salary, plus all their benefits, insurance, everything for that employee.
And we're gonna make money on it too.
And we're still gonna make money.
At least we better.
I had one more question, I just lost it. Further discussion? Councilmember Yarborough?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Motion.
Thank you, council.
Thank you, sir,
Appreciate it.
well done.
Motion passes
Good
5-0.
idea.
Item 7E, discuss and take possible action to adopt Resolution R-11-2024-23, amending the previously designated parade route to be used for any parades proposed through the city.
So
Ms.
as
Winkler.
you all know, at the last meeting, we were able to put together a homecoming parade, and that's kudos to Brian, Danny, and our new chief, who sat down and put it together really quick. And then after we got through doing it, we came back and said, hey, we really like the fact that we start here at City Hall, because we've got this long roadway where we can line people up, get them out and off the main street, and we won't be taking up so much of the road closure, the main road closure. This one actually will, goes back around. The homecoming parade, we had to cut them off before they got to the park, of course, because of the voting that was taking place. This will actually go up and around and come in behind the back side of the park. So it's putting them for a very short period of time on a state highway and then moving them into our city streets. So, which we don't have to have permission for. We can close our roads. And it won't be such a mess with links and people coming in on 917?
Yeah, Main or.
Main, 917. And this has been looked at, and we kind of all think together that this is a really good plan. So we'd like to amend it. We've already sent it to TxDOT just to have a look at it, and they had absolutely no problem with it, so.
Motion to approve item E as written.
I'll second it.
Have a motion by Councilmember Yarbrough and a second by Councilmember Rodriguez to approve item E as written to adopt resolution R-11-2024-23. Further discussion?
Doesn't this route block off the voting if we have to do that again? We have to come out with our alternative?
Well, in 4 years, if we have voting, presidential election, unless, I mean, I don't think you have it every November down there.
We have it several times.
No, not every November.
I
No,
know
not
about
every
every one, we
November.
have it here, I voted at elementary school, I voted here, I voted there, but I have voted over there 3 or 4 times, but in the.
I think your primaries are in March, and that's kind of when, I'm not sure, in the county, I guess you'd have that, what, is that every 2 years? If it does, we would just shoot them off the route that we did for the homecoming and avoid it with closing the road where the voting is.
Barring the city having a special election, I don't think we would have anything on those other 3 years
Right.
in November.
Well, we do early voting here at City Hall. So during, that doesn't affect the city at all, but it would be the county, and we have a contract with the county to have their elections there, so. But we would just reroute them.
Here, going 917 to Field.
No, to Nelson? Oh, is that Field? Okay,
To Field,
uh-huh,
and then down Third.
yes, yeah.
I just wanna make sure I'm reading.
Yeah. Well, I was calling it Nelson because I was looking at the side road. But if we ran into that early voting again in November, with after the primaries are over with, we'll just
Adapt.
bypass them like we did this last time. And it was the easy fix.
Any further discussion?
I'd just like to see the route be a little bit longer. We're getting more and more people. And then when the calf started at the house, at the, school, and came down, came through town, went back up, and all the roads were, all the paths were full of people. Looks like we're gonna put a whole lot of people in a small area. I mean, you go down Allen, street was full, they're full downtown in the past. It just doesn't seem like it's long enough route to take care of the amount of people since we're growing, we're gonna have.
The school district seemed to like the one that we did because of the walking people that walk. If you go to the school from here, it's a long, long walk, especially if you're marching or if you're in the band and those kind of things is one of the feedbacks we got. Of course, have to cut it off, but next year during their homecoming, they'll come around and go by the park, and that's where they want to have their pep rally. So that was the reason for doing it. So.
Anything further? Councilmember Yarbrough?
Aye.
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 No.
Aye.
Motion passes 4-1. Items of community interest. Thank you. Holiday in the Park is Friday, December 6th, from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. City Hall will be closed November 28th and 29th for Thanksgiving. I'd like to plant the seed in council's head that with our staff and how the city is running, that we might consider, we've done 2 months in a row with only one meeting, that maybe after the first of the year, start thinking about whether we need to have 2 meetings a month. But that's just a seed for future discussion. Any other community interest items?
The holiday in the park. Nah, that's fine. I've seen the list.
Pursuant to Chapter 551, Section 551.071, I'm I'm sorry, let me redo this. Closed meeting in the city of Godley, Texas will now be held pursuant to the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code, Section 551.071, consultations with attorney in regards to wastewater treatment plant lease agreement update and potential expansion. Section 551.087, discussion regarding economic development negotiations with River Hill. The regular session is now temporarily closed. The city council is convening into executive session at 7:53 PM on November 19th, 2024. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Christy, how you doing? Good?
Good, how are you doing?
It's good to see you. Thank you very much.
The Godley City Council adjourned its executive session at 9:03 PM and reconvened into open session at 9:04 PM. Is there any other business for tonight? If not, this meeting's
Well, no, I just want to say that I'm not going to be here in January for any meetings. So I want the public to know that as well, because they're going to be asking why I'm not here. I have to be gone to Canada on business, so I'll be missing all of January. So- I didn't know you said any more business, so. Okay.
This meeting's adjourned at 9:05 PM.
Sorry.
That's all good.
Is that a nickel plate at 1911? My wife got it.
Clipboard, take the clipboard, take the clipboard.
Turn that off.
Yes, ma'am.